It was a normal day for me at Wright State University when I saw the Equip for Life table and their members passing out roses to everyone for Valentine's Day. They stopped me and asked me if I would like a rose. I felt very special and I wasn't exactly sure why, but I took the rose and I brought it home with me. About a week later, I had been feeling ill, and my fiance mentioned that he wanted to get me a pregnancy test. I began to pace around my empty house, and I called my grandmother, and to this day, I remember her words. "Paola, if you're pregnant, you will get through it, just like I did, and just like millions of women before you." I couldn't see it. I couldn't visualize getting through it, maintaining my identity, my dreams, and my life while being a mom. We eventually went to the hospital, for we thought I may have miscarried without knowing it. We waited, and finally the doctor came in and said, "Based on your blood work, you are most definitely pregnant, 5 weeks." Could this really be happening? All I could think of was that my parents were gonna kill me. Zach was gonna leave me, and I would never get my bachelor's degree. I made my PhD as I was working on my bachelor's degree at the time. My fiance was scared, and he knew I was very pro-life and hated to see me feel that my dreams would shatter. And so he said, "Babe, you could always get an abortion. Your life doesn't have to be over." I know at the time he didn't mean it. He was scared for me and for us, and he felt at fault. I said I could never do that. But in my mind and in my fear, it seemed plausible. I wanted a reversal. I wanted to be where I was before all of this. I then told myself I could never do it because of how pro-life I was and how I didn't want to be a hypocrite. And I can honestly admit that now. My fiance then took me in his arms and told me, "We're gonna get through this." About a week later, I experienced heavy bleeding, and we rushed to the hospital again to see if the baby was still alive. When they finally took me to get an ultrasound, there on the screen, I saw everything in existence in one innocent, vulnerable, strong magnitude of human glory flickering before me. It was her, my little Costanza. She was so tiny, and yet I knew her and all of that her wisdom in that moment. The nurse asked me if I wanted to hear the heartbeat, and when I heard that sound, I was beside myself. All thoughts of wanting a reversal had disappeared. I had something not one thing in the world could match in its value. I could never lose her. I heard the infinity of creation and the might of God in that sound. I saw her entire life, who she was and who she would be with each vibration. That sound alone carried the spiritual and the physical structure of the only human in the world that was her. I was overwhelmed by it, and the nature of its beauty put me and my years to shame. I continued with school while pregnant, and I continued with work. I even volunteered in my last semester at the Equip for Life table at school to give back to the other students what Equip for Life had given to me: support, encouragement, and hope. I now have my bachelor's degree and will be moving on to my master's in theology. And my once fiance is now my awesome husband. Motherhood was not a death sentence. It was an initiation into my spiritual development. I do not have less now that I'm a mother. I have more. Having an abortion would have negated and subtracted all of this from me. And even more so, it would have plucked away the phenomenal life of that powerful girl that I bore. Giving myself so that she could have a self is the ultimate epitome of what God did for us. And following in these prints of his nature is something that nothing can surpass. To this day, I still have the rose that Equip for Life gave me. We call it our Costanza rose because I know that God sent Equip for Life right in my direction that day because he knew I was pregnant, and he wanted me to feel that he was there for me and that I had support. God's warriors work in mysterious ways, and I am so grateful to Equip for Life and to the Women's Center for being his warriors, because it's things like a small rose that can be a reminder that beauty and hope are not always in the apparent and in what you can see, but that they lie in the small lantern that God is holding in the darkness. Thank you.